Welcome to Bottles and Bites Without Borders, where every sip and every bite tell a story. Rob is your host. Each week, he will take you on a delicious journey, from vineyard tales and distillery secrets to culinary traditions. So, grab a favorite drink, a plate of something tasty, and join us for another adventure with Bottles and Bites.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Thanks for stopping in. Back on the show, she's a regular, my wife, Sandra. How you doing, babe?
Good.
A topic I think you're happy to be on tonight and talk about a little bit.
Absolutely.
You enjoy a cocktail.
All the time.
Matter of fact, there's one right in front of you if you're watching this on YouTube.
Yes, there is.
So we made a couple of our favorite cocktails. What do you got in front of you?
I have a daiquiri.
Okay, just...
a lot of people think daiquiri frozen. This is not frozen.
We don't have a machine where we're putting all the ice in and it looks like a 7-Eleven slushie.
No.
With some alcohol.
No,
you
nothing
go
like that. Traditional
or authentic kind of daiquiri.
Absolutely.
And it's pretty good.
It's become one of my favorites.
I'm a bourbon guy. I mean, I like a daiquiri, but for tonight's episode, I'm doing a little old-fashioned. So
those are good too.
Yeah, and in my old-fashioned, you can use rye or bourbon. And, some purist might say you got to use rye, and I did. I went with the rare breed rye with mine. A little bitters, some orange bitters, a little orange peel, a little cherry in there, some simple syrup, and we're done.
Yep.
So one cocktail down.
I know.
There's a recipe, folks.
Mine's not that hard either.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to talk tonight about the beginners. I think it can be intimidating to start a cocktail bar at home.
Oh, for sure.
But I also think a lot of people want to.
Oh, I would agree.
So I think we're going to kind of talk about and kind of give our experience, but also let you know it's not that hard. You don't need a whole lot of equipment. You don't need a whole lot of spirits. Matter of fact, if you have some spirits in your house already, you probably have a few that you can already start making some cocktails on. We're going to talk about equipment that you need. Maybe some recipe books, maybe some of our favorite recipes, and just how to overcome that intimidation of being able to make cocktails at home.
Absolutely. I don't know if you would agree, but it's been just a early journey for us on making cocktails at home.
That's why we're calling this the beginner's guide. We're the beginners. This is our
yes,
is our
we
guide.
are.
Yeah, this is our guide.
Absolutely.
So, how would you say our cocktail experience started? I feel like I always encourage the drinking, of exploring and trying new things, and I try to get you to follow along.
Yes. Yes, I follow along with all the new
I thought you were going to say, heck no, you were the ones who wanted wine and wanted cocktails in the house. You're being nice to me.
I am. I know, you know what, now as you say that, yes. Yeah, I was going to go with you have started me on the journey of going and trying new wines instead of staying with my go-tos.
Yeah.
But yes, I don't, you know what, I think
you
I
were the
was.
one that said,
yes.
Hey, I want to start doing some cocktails at home other than a margarita.
Yes, I did say that.
Yes.
Because
for the longest time, you made margaritas, and that was about it.
That's exactly right. I mean, you can't really mess up a margarita.
So one of how did we get started? What was? I mean, I have some ideas, but I'm going to let you talk a little bit. What did we do
to
kind of get exposed to cocktails and things we might like?
Okay, so let me try and understand what you're trying to ask.
I'll just tell you, we went to cocktail bars.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we found some, 4 or 5 cocktail bars that were highly recommended in Houston.
Absolutely.
And we said, let's go see what we like, because we knew we wanted to get into cocktails. We knew that there were a lot of times we would go to a dinner and we would, before ordering a bottle of wine, as we want to look through that wine list, we'd order a cocktail, but it was always the same cocktail that we were used to ordering, or old-fashioned for me, and maybe a margarita or a daiquiri for you. And
no, I think my go-to for the longest time was, a margarita.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the lemon drop.
That's what I was going to say, the lemon drop
martini. Lemon drop martini. But I never made one at home.
Yeah,
but that was one of my go-to drinks.
That's true. That is true. I guess that was before the daiquiri.
Yes.
Before you found the daiquiri. Thank you, Tyler.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes, thank you, Tyler.
So that's what we did. We said, well, let's go out and just hit some cocktail bars.
Yes.
And start exploring the drinks on those menus and see what do we like. And then what does it take to make it? And that's kind of how we started our journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you feel about being a home mixologist? Do you feel like you're pretty good?
I'm still at the beginner level.
Here's what I would say. It's not that hard,
No.
You don't have to feel like you have to be fancy and, the cocktail movie, flipping Tom Cruise, flipping the bottles and doing stuff. Just, I think if you can just follow a recipe and get the technique down, shaken or stirred, having a few pieces of equipment that are going to make that possible.
Right.
That's going to be the best thing for you. I would also say glassware is a little bit important.
I would think so. I would think so, because I wouldn't want my daiquiri in a different kind of glass other than a coupe. Funny story. Yeah. I did go somewhere with some girlfriends and ordered a daiquiri, and the guy brought it out in maybe a glass like you have.
A rocks glass?
Yes, a rocks glass. And I looked at it and I was like, do you have maybe a different glass?
And by the way, we do have a couple cocktails in front of us.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So I do think glassware counts.
It does, but I don't think you have to have a lot of it.
No.
Some people might be going, man, I need a lot of glassware now. I think 3 different types of glasses, and we're going to get to that. But what's in your glass?
I have the daiquiri. The classic daiquiri.
Classic. It's not the slushy 7-Eleven daiquiri. And I went with a old fashioned that I made, and the purist would say, "Did you use a rye?" I don't think that's absolutely necessary. You want to use a bourbon, that's fine. I know a lot of people play on old fashioned and will use a Scotch or even sometime a mezcal or something like that. But yeah, this time I was like the purist, and I went with a rye. I've got the rare breed rye in here at 112 proof, and it's drinking nicely.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are easy ones.
So one of the reasons you got me on board, or I should say it wasn't hard to get me on board with cocktails, with having cocktails at home, and kind of, we already had a lot of whiskeys because I drink a lot of whiskey. So we were already kind of set up to be able to make cocktails.
Yes.
But we also like to have a lot of dinner parties and guests over. And just like, I mentioned in the restaurant, a lot of times when people show up, it's kind of fun to just, instead of having to pop wines right away, maybe have 4 or 6 cocktails, depending on the number of guests that are coming out, already ready to go, or everything out and ready to make those cocktails, and start everybody off with a little cocktail as they come in, and we say our hellos and the initial visits and things as we start to get some snacks or appetizers out. I really like, being able to do that. And a lot of times it's a girl cocktail and then the boys cocktail. Not always. Sometimes it's across the board, but you have some options. And I like doing that.
I do too, because sometimes I will say we do enjoy having maybe a champagne or a white wine as people come in, but a cocktail always changes things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's nice for after a big long day at work.
And I think it's a little bit unexpected sometimes. I think people, when they say, when they hear you invite them over and, hey, come on over, let's have a dinner, bring a bottle of wine or something, they go, okay, it's a wine dinner, and it is. But then when they show up and we go, hey, we want to make you a cocktail to get the night started, they go, oh, I didn't even, okay, that's kind of cool. We're going to have a cocktail. So, it's kind of fun to kind of do that for your guests as well.
Yes, it is. I like that.
Let's talk about, people are hearing this going, okay, what do I need? Let's get to the good stuff. How do I get my bar started? How do I get this going so I can make cocktails at home? First of all, you don't have to have a bar. No. You can have a cabinet. And I think a lot of people, that might be the case, that you have a cabinet that, my grandmother would call it the liquor cabinet, right? That's everybody would say, you open that door up and there's all the liquor, right?
All your vodka
Yep. If you have that, a lot of times it's above the refrigerator. You might have to bring it down if you're going to start making cocktails, make it more accessible.
Yes.
But have that cabinet where you can put things. And there's going to be spirits and mixers that you're going to want to have. And again, if you drink any spirits at all, you're probably on your way. But let's go through a few of those.
Okay.
Let's call it the the 5 starters that you need
Okay.
to make almost any cocktail that you might want.
Okay. Let's do
Can
it.
you give me some, or you want me to run them off?
You're saying the 5 starters, like the mixers? Spirits?
Mm-hmm.
Vodka.
Yep, vodka.
Tequila.
Tequila.
Rum.
Rum.
Um,
I'm going to say
Gin?
Gin. Perfect.
Bourbon.
Bourbon. There's your 5.
Hey.
Look at you knocking it out. You act like you drink a lot. So you could add in some other things. You could throw a scotch in there. You could throw some other things in there. But if you have those 5, a bottle of those 5, you can make pretty much
lot of
any cocktail you want to. So you're well on your way. If you wanted to add something else, it might be an Aperol. If you're going to make a Negroni or something like that, but you don't have to have that. One thing I saw people have a lot was elderflower liqueur, and we've never had that.
Did I not buy that for Christmas?
Well, if you did, I didn't notice it.
Maybe not. No, I didn't buy an elderflower liqueur.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but I'm curious now. So we may look up a recipe and
I know
and go get a bottle of that. And see
I'm sure I've had some cocktail with elderflower.
Yeah,
but we've had the other. What is it? Aperol. We've had
the Aperol because I have a sweet vermouth, and we're going to get into that because I'm a big fan of a Negroni.
Yes, that's not my favorite.
Yeah, because it's made with gin, and it's not your favorite. Because you're not a huge gin fan.
I'm not it's a gimlet.
A gimlet.
Yes, that's delicious.
Again, thank you, Tyler Martin.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the mixers that are kind of go-to.
Okay.
So club soda.
Yep.
A tonic water. Ginger beer.
Oh, yes.
Juices, like your pineapple juices.
Yes, cranberry juice.
Cranberry juice, things like that.
Orange juice.
Simple syrups and bitters.
Simple syrup.
Yeah.
And
by the way,
you can make it.
I was going to just say that. You can make simple syrup. It's 1-to-1 ratio, cup of sugar, cup of water. Put it on the stove. Let it warm up until the sugar's completely dissolved, and you have simple syrup. Now, you can go buy it as well if you just want to do that, but we make our own. It's just easier. We have one of those little squirt bottles, and you can just put it in there, leave it at the bar, and when you need to use it, it's there.
Yeah.
And then bitters. And bitters is a rabbit hole that you can get down. I'm not bad with the bitters. I have about 3 or 4 different flavored bitters, standard bitters, orange bitters, cherry bitters, chocolate bitters. But, I mean, there's probably 1,000 different bitters.
Okay, this is funny because I didn't know you had that many bitters.
Yeah, they're in the drawer.
Okay.
You look right over them because you don't use them in anything you make.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So bitters are something that you can play with, but having them, those are the things you need. Club soda, tonic, ginger beer, juices, simple syrup, and bitters. And then buying quality without going overboard. You don't have to spend a ton of money on the liquor.
Agreed. Agreed.
I'll give you a bourbon example. If you're a purist and you want to make an old-fashioned with a rye, Old Forester makes a 100-proof rye that's just fantastic. You can get it for like $21, $23, something like that.
You mean you don't want to use your $50?
You can. I'm just saying you don't have to go overboard. If you want to be a baller, ball out, folks, but you don't have to.
Yes.
Yeah. I do want to mention another mixer that I like to have, and I think I kind of touched on it, which is the vermouth, a sweet vermouth. So if I'm making a Negroni, I need a sweet vermouth. If I'm making a Manhattan, which is another bourbon cocktail, I need a sweet vermouth. So vermouth is something that is good to have in the bar as well.
Did we maybe forget some? I know you said club soda. I hate to say this, but what about like a soda, like a Coca-Cola?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's something that most people might have in the house. So, I mean, you could say that Coke or, you're talking about like for a Jack and Coke or something like that. Yeah. But I'm thinking when you think of the classic cocktails,
okay,
a club or a Jack and Coke is just kind of a quick bar drink.
We started out there.
I call that a mixed drink, not a cocktail, Sandra.
Okay.
I mean, so I think you're thinking for the friends who come over that go, I don't want a cocktail, but you got a Coke and some bourbon.
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking
Yeah.
of.
Yep,
Yeah.
I am.
It's not a cocktail. It's a
Okay.
mixed drink.
Okay.
I think. I might be wrong. Let us know if I'm wrong. But I don't call that a cocktail. Little Coke, little bourbon. There's my cocktail.
Wow.
Mixed drink. 7 and 7. I want some Seagram 7 and 7 Up.
Oh, well, okay.
That's
Maybe you would call
mixed
that.
drink.
I don't know. Okay.
But I like where you're going. You could, have that on hand in your bar if you want to, for your friends that come over and want a little bourbon and Coke. But yeah, getting back to, you don't have to spend a lot. You don't want to go real cheap. You want something that's made quality. So when you look for a tequila, you want it to be made with agave, 100% agave. A decent gin, I think you can get for $20-$25. Same with rums.
Absolutely.
And there's different kinds of rums. There's different kind of tequilas. Do you have a preference for a tequila when you make a certain drink with it? Do you like
the
a
margarita?
Blanco?
I
No,
do not like a Blanco. I'll
no.
say I don't like a Blanco. I do like a reposado or añejo.
But do you
more
have
of a
a
reposado.
preference?
Reposado.
Okay.
Yeah, I it might depend on the type of cocktail. Like there's that winter cocktail that I like to do, a winter margarita.
Yeah.
And that one would have to have a white
A Blanco?
tequila. Yes, a Blanco. You don't want to see a reposado in that.
You want the clear spirit.
Yeah.
So you want that barrel influence.
Yes.
Okay. Same with vodka. You don't have to spend a lot. I know the Grey Goose and all these other brands or whatever. You don't have to spend that. Get something quality. And I would say if you have a distiller in your local market, you can probably get vodka and gin from them, if not some kind of a bourbon or whiskey. So, looking local might be an option as well, which should be, if it's craft, should have some good quality to it as well. So that's an option to do.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's talk about equipment that we need. What do we need to kind of build our home bar?
Well, you need a shaker or a measuring.
Well, you
What do you call
shaker's
those?
right too.
Shaker
you jumped
and,
right off that. Cocktail shaker, a jigger.
Jigger. Maybe a stir.
A large spoon, like a bar spoon.
Yes.
Okay. Strainer, so they can pour it out. And then maybe a muddler if you're going to make a mojito or something like that.
I think that's very important. Yep, a muddler.
Having a muddler.
And that's what I can think of right now.
I think, you might want a citrus press. I mean, you can use your hand, but having, depending on what you're making, how many cocktails, be able to cut your limes or lemons or oranges and squeeze that juice out with a citrus press.
Yes.
You probably already have one if you cook at all,
Yes.
in your kitchen. So just think that's something you might use. And then some people like to have different ice molds.
Oh.
So whether it be a big, in my glass, I use a big, solid, round sphere piece of ice for my old fashioned.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
You can buy different shapes. You can buy, make it fun if you want to do something fun with that. So ice molds is something that, it's an extra. It's not something you have to have, but it's something you could think about if you wanted to do. I like the big sphere because when you're doing a cocktail like an old fashioned or something, you don't want it to get watered down too fast. So the bigger the solid piece of ice, it's not going to melt as much as putting in little pieces of ice. So that would be a technical reason for having a big square or a big sphere to put in there.
Okay. I didn't think about the ice.
Yeah. And what about a bar cart? Do you need I kind of already touched on this.
A what?
Bar cart. If
Bar
you don't
cart.
have a bar,
Oh.
would you want a cart that has all your...
Well, I don't know if I'm at home, maybe not, but I don't know. Maybe some people like that.
I mean, to
don't
me, if
know.
I had a bar cart, it would be somewhere in a place that it's stationary and that's going to hold all my drinks and equipment and
you'll
everything that
just-
I'm using. And I'm probably going to go to my kitchen counter or somewhere and pull what I need to make my...
Right.
So I would say if you don't have cabinet space, a bar cart might be an option for if you got room somewhere to put it in a stationary. I guess you could move it. They're mobile. So if you wanted to move it, you could. But I don't think I would use a bar cart to create cocktails on.
No. I hear bar cart, I hear something kind of fancy for people to go, like they have a big party and you have somebody rolling around asking the people what they want for their drinks and they can just put it together.
I mean, I guess
other than that, I mean, for a first time, like we're talking about beginners, I think just it would be stationary.
It would be stationary?
I think so.
I would think so too. But we're coming from the perspective of us. So
maybe some people like it. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, to each their own.
To each their own. Now, I would say if you're living in a newer house, I mean, I haven't seen a house built in the last probably 10 years that didn't have this kind of bar area. You know, this 4-foot section where they had underneath the cabinet above some place to hang your glasses, down below some cabinet space, and a bar right there.
Yeah.
You know, and the shelves above were for cocktail glasses, different glassware and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, can you think of a house that we've been to that's fairly new that doesn't have that? So I think my point is most people probably have an area for a, air quotes here, a bar.
Right. Right. Well, I do have to say, Rob, I think the last couple of wedding gifts we've given out to new young couples have either been wine glasses or cocktail, getting your bar started gifts, because most people have already. They want their plates, their cups, their silverware, their Tupperware, whatever it is. And sometimes they don't think, oh, I might need things to make a cocktail at home, and it'd be a great little addition to there.
And even if they're not thinking cocktails, or even if we don't know if they're a cocktail drinker, we don't mind still getting that as a gift because we think it's pushing them to, oh, maybe I need to make a cocktail at home. That could be fun.
Right.
So it kind of nudges them along, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Because we know they like to drink, a lot of the folks, as far as wines and things.
Absolutely.
We're just kind of nudging along with some, maybe you ought to try some cocktails too.
Absolutely. And I think, well, I don't know if we're going to touch on this later, which I'm sure we will, is cost effectiveness of sometimes going out and buying a cocktail at a cocktail bar versus making it at home.
Oh, well, no, I think you can go ahead and touch on that right now if you want.
Okay. So when I think about these gifts, and kind of nudging them in that direction, because sometimes when you do go out to these cocktail bars, it can be pretty pricey. Yeah. And you're spending a lot of money, and you could spend that right up front to get your stuff that you need to create your beginner's bar, and then you have it there for days to come, months to come, or whatever.
I think you bring up a really good point, because not just, let's just say you were going to go out to a cocktail bar and have 3 cocktails each. You're probably walking out of there spending $150.
Correct.
And plus tips, let's just call it $200.
Correct.
So you could go buy your liquors and your mixers and everything, and probably your equipment that you need, a set or something, and be set up to make cocktails for the next couple of months.
Yes.
So I think you bring up a very good point. I hadn't thought about that, as we were putting this episode together to talk about. That's a very good point, because it's big for us. One of the reasons we love to cook and stay in is, one, it's cost effective, but 2, we like to spend time with friends. But bottles of wine are way less expensive for us to pop them here at the house with what we have in our cellars and friends bringing over than to go buy those same 3 or 4 bottles of wine we might have on a night for dinner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, cocktails would be the same thing.
We can start out with a nice little cocktail, move on to some white wine or champagne, whatever it is, dinner, and you're set.
Yeah.
And for a lot less than what you would be spending out at a restaurant. I think that was one of the other reasons we were like, we got to start making cocktails at home.
Was that one of the reasons? That makes sense.
That may have been a small part of it. I always wanted to make cocktails, but I think that was another big reason was, sometimes we like to have a cocktail and not have to go out somewhere to enjoy a cocktail.
Well, I thought you were saying it from the perspective of, when we go out to dinner, we always order a cocktail first.
Right.
As we're looking over the wine list. So why not just be able to make a cocktail at home first before we start popping a bottle of wine?
Yes.
Okay.
All in the same. Yes.
In the same.
Maybe I didn't say it correctly,
No.
yes.
I think both apply. I was just saying the way I was taking it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Which is nice.
Okay. Let's talk about glassware.
Okay.
What do folks need? I would say there's really 3 glasses that would be, you have these 3. And let me just say this. I'm going to tell you, you can find some deals at like TJ Maxx or Marshall's. You don't have to go buy fancy glassware. You can buy rocks glasses. I would say rocks glasses, a highball, and coupes would be the three that you would need that could get you pretty much any cocktail that you want to make, whether it's a mojito or a old fashioned or a daiquiri or a paper plane or something like that. Those three glasses pretty much got you covered for most cocktails. And those three types of glasses, you could get at TJ Maxx, all of them in a set of 4. Mm-hmm. Out the door, probably less than $50.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
We're kind of coming up with a cost to invest in setting up your complete beginner's cocktail bar at home.
The cost will be a little bit up front, but in the long run,
you're going to be way ahead.
You'll be way ahead.
Yeah.
Way ahead.
So is there any other glasses that you can think of that you like to have? I would say, go ahead. You have one?
No, I'm trying to think of one.
I would say a wine glass. Maybe, if you have wine glasses.
For a spritzer.
Spritzer or something, French 75 or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other one that you had with that champagne when we went to that tasting for Bordeaux.
It was a wine glass.
Yeah,
and it was a spritzer.
It was a spritzer.
Yes,
I thought it was something else.
It was like a spritzer.
Yeah,
but I cannot remember the name.
So I think a wine glass might be fine.
Oh yeah, a white wine glass, absolutely.
And I would tell you, a lot of folks in their kitchen, they have glassware. A shorter glass and a taller glass. That's glass for a tall glass of milk or a small glass of milk. And by all means, that shorter glass could be a rocks glass. Just because you use it in your kitchen, you could use that as a rocks glass. Your other one, you could use as a highball. I mean, so my point is you could get by with some stuff that you have in your house already, and there's nothing wrong with that until you're ready to go out and buy a, proper kind of.
Did you say martini glass?
Did not.
Because I think a martini glass could also be used as your margarita glass. Okay. A martini glass.
But would you use it for a daiquiri? Let me ask you this.
Push comes to shove, maybe, if that's all I had.
Would you put a daiquiri would you put a martini in a coupe?
Yeah.
Which one would you rather have? I'm trying to figure out which one you think. I'm giving one choice. Which one would you rather have?
Well, I'd rather have one of each. You know me.
Sandra.
I think I would probably, you know what? You got me there. I don't know.
I was thinking a coupe would go both ways a little easier than the martini glass, but I might be wrong.
The only reason I say is because and I use that. Maybe I think a martini glass because you could also put you could also do that in this too. I was thinking a cosmopolitan in there. You could do a margarita in there. You could do a martini in there. I guess if push comes to shove, I could even put the daiquiri in there.
Okay. So
maybe
a coupe or a martini glass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But you can't have like one of those big, huge martini glasses. The rims are like big and just too big.
Okay.
You need something nice and small and.
Yeah, you had a martini glass coupes are new to us.
Yes, they are.
We got these, I don't know, last few months. Mm-hmm. We started going, okay, we've been doing these drinks in the wrong glass for a little while, and we finally made the decision to get some coupes. And
yes.
You're glad we did. It's right there in front of you. You enjoy your daiquiri.
I enjoy it very much. There's been times I've called you on my way home from work, get me a cocktail.
Have it ready. So, when you're just starting out, though, you don't have to overthink it. If you want to make an old-fashioned, having a glass in the cabinet, I don't care if you want to use a coffee cup. It's basically the same size glass as a rocks glass. It doesn't have the aesthetics. It's not going to look pretty, but the drink inside is going to taste the same. So you can get by with stuff is my point. But when you're ready, I would think just those three glasses, rocks, highball, and a coupe, maybe a martini glass as well if you want to throw that in.
Interchange those.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're saying having those four are kind of the aesthetics of the drink, making it look pretty, making it look proper, and maybe for hosting appeal that when people come in, they might see that shape and go, that's a daiquiri, that's a martini, you got the olive on the toothpick or whatever. You
Correct.
kind of know what they have.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So you like glassware, so it kind of speaks to what's in the glass.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's a fair point. I think that's something, if you're not going to do out of the chute, you want to get to that point that you have the proper glassware.
Yeah.
We would agree with that in wine. We think having the proper wine glass is important.
Oh, for sure.
What about, I think mimosa would be a mixed drink, kind of like an like a Coke and Jack.
Rum and Coke?
Yeah, or something like that.
Oh. Yeah, it probably
I was
is.
going, do you need a, what do they call those glasses? We use a white wine or a champagne glass for flute. Yes.
I was like, where are you going?
Do you use a flute for any kind of cocktail?
Well, I think some of them use them for an Aperol spritz.
Okay. I would say a wine glass would be better. Just my opinion.
I would too, but I know some people might use that. I don't know what you would use a flute for, if not. Some people use it for a Prosecco, but I would probably use it more for a mimosa than anything else.
Okay.
And
a mimosa to me is just a mixed drink again. A little blood orange, or it's a little orange juice with some Prosecco most of the time.
Yeah.
But let's go on to, we're in that season, and this is why we're doing the episode. We're getting into summer.
Yes.
And those of us who like spirits neat typically like it in the wintertime because it's got a little heat on it with the alcohol and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think going into the summer, cocktails is the way to go. I mean, I think most people agree with that. You drink more white wine. You do all these things a little bit more. So I think summertime is when cocktails really come about. You're out by the pool. It's something you don't have to think about. It's refreshing. It's cooling, So it's the right time of year to start talking about getting your cocktail game going.
Oh, yes.
So let's talk about, a few of our favorite cocktails.
Okay.
So we don't have to get into how it's made or anything like that because I know that, again, we're the beginners. We still look up recipes.
Yes. Do you want to show what we use to look?
We're going to get to that.
Oh, okay. So you want me to name some of my favorites?
Yeah.
Well, I remember starting out with a margarita.
Yeah.
Then Sex and the City came out, so I had to start drinking a Cosmopolitan.
Okay.
Love a lemon
you
drop.
Put a little age on yourself with that.
I know.
You look good for 60.
Stop. I'm not 60. Lemon drop martini was my go-to for the longest time.
Okay.
Long time. Then I tried daiquiris, gimlets. And you know what? I have enjoyed an old-fashioned, and I have enjoyed, would you call a espresso martini? Is another one of my favorites.
Okay.
Yep.
There's a few you named.
There's a
there.
lot.
I like an Aperol spritz. I've just gotten into those. I like a Negroni. I'll throw out another Italian one.
Yep.
Obviously, an old fashioned. I have that. Another take on the old fashioned, which is the Manhattan. I don't know. I think old fashioned might be the working man's cocktail, and the Manhattan might be the old. Let me say it this way: the old fashioned might be the working man's bourbon cocktail, and the Manhattan might be the blue collar working man's bourbon cocktail. Boy, I'm just destroying that.
I gotcha.
I think they're kind of in tiers. You know what I mean? I think I like both. I do like a Manhattan with the sweet vermouth also in there. I'm also a big fan of your daiquiris, which I don't think you mentioned. Did you?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did mention
I like the daiquiris. We got a great tiki bar here that we like to go to, Lalo, and enjoy daiquiris there. A paper plane has become one of my favorite. Crescent Moon has become one of my favorites. I'm trying to think of what else that I've enjoyed. What did Matt Carter make for us that one time that you were really... Was it a daiquiri?
It was a daiquiri, and it's his recipe that I use.
Okay, that's your... What about a Paloma?
I do like a Paloma, but I'm more partial to a margarita. One. But Palomas are what they mostly drink in Mexico. They don't drink a lot of margaritas over there. I think that was invented here in the United States.
Yeah.
Palomas is what they drink in Mexico.
I've never had one. It's with tequila.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know.
Well,
We'll look it up.
yes.
We'll look in the book here in a minute.
We'll look it up. Yeah, those are really good. Palomas are good.
So
and I think I would probably prefer a Paloma now over margarita because certain places when they make margaritas, it's with that mixer juice and it's
not
very
good.
sweet.
And a cheap, again, we don't say you have to overpay for tequila or any of your spirits, but don't go super cheap where it's not a good cocktail either.
Yeah.
A lot of places do that.
I would have to say, I preface in saying this, those margarita mixes, I would highly stir you away.
Yeah.
There's
we're gonna
so
get
much
into that.
sugar.
We're going to get into that.
Okay.
Fresh ingredients is what you're saying.
Yes.
I do want to start talking about recipes because people are going, okay, those all sound great. They sound like cool. But what's the recipe? Well, you got to go find a recipe. We're not going to give you all the recipes today. But we will tell you about a couple of books that we like. And I'm going to start with this one that you got me at Christmas.
Yes.
That I really like because it's called, and if you're watching the YouTube channel, you can see it here. It's called Mastering Bartending at Home. This is easy cocktails, 4 ingredients or less.
Isn't that nice?
There's some great cocktails in here. Your Cosmopolitan, your Gimlet, your Tequila Sunrise, your Campari Colada, your White Russian, your Margarita, your Screwdriver, your Bloody Marys. I mean, I can just
White Russian.
flip open to gin cocktails, and it gives you the Aviation, the Bramble, the White Lady, the Negroni. I mean,
Gives you all kinds of recipes.
and it's only 4 ingredients for each one of these, which easy cocktails, 4 ingredients or less. It's a great book. I mean, if you're looking to get into making cocktails at home,
Easy peasy.
easy peasy. More than 150 easy to make cocktails from timeless classics to modern day mainstays. Boldly designed chapters organized by spirit.
Right.
So I mean, it's really a great book. So
That's easy.
something we would say that you could
Not
consider
sponsoring.
having. No, but it's a book that we really like. And then if you want to
This
get
one.
into classic cocktails, the
This one's
modern
good.
classics, this is a more in-depth book that gives you a lot of information, a lot of different ingredients and variations of cocktails.
Yes.
This is called Death and Company, Modern Classic Cocktails. And
Yes.
we're giving you both of these because we're on the spectrum of that 180 degrees. We're really easy and not really necessarily hard, but a little bit more involved, a little bit more complex,
It
more
gives you-
options, things like that.
It gives you a lot of history and talking about the cocktails. I like this book. This is really good
Yeah,
too.
I don't want it to fall on your cocktail.
Yeah, that's a really good book, the black one.
Yeah.
This one was highly recommended by a lot of people when we told
the
them we were
Death and
trying to
Company
get
into
cocktails.
Yeah.
Highly recommended.
So those are 2 really good books. Again, easy and then, not hard, but just more substance to it so
Yes.
that when you're ready to go, okay, I like this cocktail, but I want to play with it a little bit. Death and Company would be something that would help you kind of come up with some ideas of what you can do with classics and putting a modern twist on
Oh,
it.
yeah.
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 So 2 of our favorite books. Let's talk about people are going, man, this just sounds overwhelming. I mean, I don't know. How do I get started? I would say keep it simple. Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it.
Fresh ingredients.
All the time.
Balance is key. Don't make it too sweet. Don't make it too strong. Understand ratios. Understand how those ingredients are working with each other so that you know what you're going to get. And, I would say also start with a recipe. Make it the way it says. And then if you want, you can play with, I'd like a little bit more. I'm going to go another half ounce of alcohol, or I'm going to go another half ounce of juice, or whatever that might
Right.
be.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes. But I know what I like on my daiquiri, and I stick to the recipe.
Well, because
I like it.
Yeah, it works for you. You're not
Yes.
looking to change anything.
No.
I'm just saying if you have that recipe and it's
Oh, yeah.
missing something for you, then tweak.
Absolutely, because I know I've done that with my margaritas.
Yeah. You have a favorite cocktail that you've been drinking lately?
That it would be my daiquiri.
Would it really?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's been my go-to as of late.
I have two that would be on my list.
Which are?
The paper plane and the Negroni. I didn't get into a Negroni until probably, 8 or 10 months ago is when I started getting into the Negronis.
Interesting.
And gin, sweet vermouth, and Aperol, a Campari. And wonderful cocktail. I mean, you have to like bitters because a Campari is a very bitter kind of, I don't know if it's a mixer. I guess it's a mixer. So it's a cocktail that is very bitter forward. If you don't like bitter, you may not like a Negroni. But if you're open to bitter, it's a delicious cocktail.
Yeah, I'm not a Negroni fan.
Not at all?
No.
No.
I've had it a couple of times, and I'm not a fan.
Okay.
So I know I don't like bitters. There's another, there was another liqueur that I'm not a fan of. It tastes very medicine-y to me, but you loved it. I think it was like a purple one or a green one.
Oh, you're talking about the French chartreuse.
Chartreuse.
Yeah, I love. You just drink that on its own. Absolutely delicious. Some high-end ones too that are.
There are, and we've
like
had some,
dessert.
and I'm just they were not my.
Yeah, well, some of us don't all have a good palate. So, if you were gonna, here's another tip I would give you. If you're wanting to start a bar and you're listening to us talk about the 5 starters and things like that, I would say you don't have to buy all of those. Think about starting with cocktails that you already like, that you drink when you're out and about, and now at home you want to make those. So, you probably already have, if you like tequila, you're probably already ready to make a margarita at home or a Paloma at home or something like that. But make the ones that you've been drinking and liking, and then branch out from there. And then, say, hey, I got a bottle of tequila, I got a bottle of gin. I'm going to go buy a bottle of bourbon and make a few bourbon cocktails. And then 3 weeks later, go buy a bottle of vodka and start making some cocktails with vodka. We're not, hey, look, if you're going, hey, look, we're going to go out for dinner, we're going to spend $300, we're going to go buy our bar stuff and cook some burgers and make some cocktails. You can do that. I'm just saying you don't have to spend it all at once.
No.
You can put this bar together slowly, but start putting your bar together because I think you'll enjoy making cocktails.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So, and it's nice because you get to put as much. Sometimes you go to a restaurant, they don't put enough of the tequila or too much, and you can give or take.
Or it's a crappy
Tequila.
whatever they're putting in, whatever cocktail
you're in
getting.
charge of your
You
cocktail.
Control it, which makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I like that.
And I would say, hit us up on social media. We're at Food Whiskey on X. We have a Facebook page called Bottles and Bites Without Borders on Facebook. We're on Instagram at Bottles and Bites. If you're making a cocktail, if you have a favorite, if you're going to set up a cocktail home bar, we'd love for you to tag us in some social media posts and let us see what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, do it all at once. But our encouragement, our suggestion would be get into making cocktails at home.
Oh, yes.
Especially in the summertime. But there's some good winter cocktails as well. But I think cocktails in general are a summertime drink. You enjoy them a little bit more.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just to recap, essential spirits, essential spirits that you should have as you build your bar all at once, whatever you want to do. Vodka, gin, rum, tequila, bourbon, rye whiskey, kind of put those in the same category. Some optional things to have, Aperol, sweet vermouth, triple sec, Amaro, elderflower liqueur. Key mixers, you got your club soda, your tonic water, your ginger beer, cola for Sandra, Coca-Cola, cranberry, lime, orange juice, your juices, simple syrups, sugar plus water. You can make it at home.
Yes.
Your bitters, and then your fruits, your fresh
limes,
oranges, lemons, things like that. Then you might want some herbs, whether you're going to use some basil or some mint or something to make a cocktail.
Yep.
Things to keep in mind for different recipes. Equipment's pretty easy. Your cocktail jigger, cocktail shaker, muddler, bar spoon, your strainer, citrus press, ice cube trays that you might want, and then your glassware. A coupe glass, a rocks glass, a highball glass, a wine glass comes in handy for some other things. But Start small. You know?
Absolutely.
Make what
But
you like.
start.
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Nope.
Try things. So we'll also, if you go to our website, we're going to kind of put a little blog on there about, cocktails and a cocktail bar at home. And we'll share a few of our favorite recipes for some of these cocktails on there.
Yeah.
So go check us out at bottlesandbiteswb.com. WB stands for Without Borders, obviously. But bottlesandbiteswb.com. That's our website, and you'll see it under the blog. And we'll put some recipes and things on there for some of our favorite cocktails there as well.
And if they have any favorites, let us know.
Hit us
that
up.
We need to try.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of fun, Sandra.
Yes.
Always
I enjoyed it.
with you, yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode of Bottles and Bites Without Borders. We appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for stopping in, and can't wait to chat with you on the next one. Thanks, babe.
Thanks. Cheers.
Let's go have a cocktail.
Absolutely. I'm thirsty.